and welcome to another episode of Peptalk on the Jo Maxwell Show. I am your host, Jo Maxwell. Today we'll be talking about are women better managers when it comes to finances? Before I welcome on set our guests, take a look at who they are. Welcome back, guys. According to ex-Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar's Twitter, women had a 90% repayment rate for microfinance loans, showing better responsibility for money management. From experience and data, they found that women were making more money, becoming breadwinners and sending their children to good schools in comparison to men who simply just opted to start a family. We're about to find out from our guests today whether or not this is a true cause. So ladies, now we know. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome on set. How are you? Thank you so much for joining today. You're looking amazing, Tosan. I'm loving the dress. Like, can you just pass that down when we're done? Thanks for joining today. And Folake, Abiola-James, my accountant, I said. Welcome on board. Thank you so much. So this particular topic for me, I think it's a big, it's a big one. And I say that because, I am going to go into you, Folake, because I know anything that has to do with money.
I love money.
Honestly. So what are your thoughts, given the statistics we've got? Do you believe that as women, we are better money managers?
I think it depends. I think it's an individual thing. Mm-hmm. If you want to put it right down to DNA, would women save more than men? I think women have this sense of responsibility for their kids, for example, their kids' education. I think what drives women might make them think that they are better money managers than men. But I have met a lot of men, and I know a lot of men who are so much better at money than women. So I think
is that because you don't know the other halves?
No, I'm talking about within my circle. So friends, wives, and husbands. If I go around my friends and say who is better at money, the men or the women, I think in the majority of my circle, I would say the men are actually better at managing or saving money.
I agree with that actually, because looking at my circle of friends, even within, in my relationship, I feel my husband's better at saving than I am and managing money than I am. But going back to what you said about, a woman's DNA, they have more responsibility towards their children and their families. It could mean that you have to spend a lot more money than the man would, because for the man, he's thinking about, pay the mortgage, buy a car, the big expenses. But women are buying, I love that outfit for my daughter, I'll buy that for her, I love those pair of shoes. And you're making decisions on a more emotional level than a man.
Let me spin that. So when you say the man is thinking about the mortgage, he's thinking about paying the fees, I'm actually thinking about the woman thinking, I don't want my kids to go hungry, so I would manage. So my DNA says that when I get a pot of money, I have to put aside for my kids' school fees, my kids' education. A man is always thinking about the big picture. He's always thinking about the next business deal. He wouldn't necessarily think about his kids' school fees if he thinks that £1,000 in his account would get him the next big deal. A woman would think, after I pay the fees, I may do the shopping, buy the food, then what is left? I might gamble on it. A man's DNA will probably think, let me gamble first.
Let's gamble first, and then whatever comes out of it, then we can kind of pay things.
I think the answer really is it depends. It's a very individual thing, and I think everyone just, depending on your background, how you grew up, did you grow up in an environment where you had lots of money? Did you grow up in an environment where you didn't have enough money, so you kind of learned how to save? So I think it's a completely individual thing. I think there's lots of dimensions you can look at it.
I think there are lots of dimensions, but I think for some people it's just in their DNA. I think there's some people that when they are born and as they grow up, they are just born savers. I'll give you an example. My sister and I, we grew up in the exact same household. Our attitude to money are complete opposites. My dad, you would say, we came from quite a well-off background. But I was a born saver. From primary school, I have been saving. No one ever taught me how to save. I get 5 naira as my pocket money. I would keep 4 and spend 1. Literally. My sister would rather buy her Gucci watch. My sister is she loves good things.
Yeah.
We had the exact same upbringing. Literally, we had access to the same
Do you know what? Now it feels like we've used two words here. We've used savers, we've used managers. And honestly, as far as I'm concerned, they probably the same. If you're a better, so I guess the question for you, Folake, is if I am a good money manager, does that mean I can be a good saver as well?
I would say probably not. So I think if you wanted to face the question, are women better money managers? I would say our DNA lends us to be better money managers. But are we better savers? Then that is an individual thing. Literally.
I don't think the two are mutually exclusive, because if you're a good money manager, then as part of your management plan for your money, it might include saving.
Okay.
So how can you be a good manager if you can't save money?
Let's put, for example, you know those Nigerian movies you watch when you see this woman comes back and the husband comes back with 1,000 naira and they give, his dear wife, and she sits down with it and she says, oh, I'm going to take 50 naira, I'm going to buy some soup, I'm going to take 50 naira, buy some uniform for my daughter, and then 2 months down the line, the guy literally, should I say, blows. He just becomes overnight rich. And you see this woman who was so good at managing that 1,000 naira is the same person who is actually going out buying the latest leg.
But that doesn't mean. But that's just based on your situation, right?
And that's as a result of education as well.
Do you know what? I kind of agree. So I have a real life scenario where, very similar to what you said, the wife kind of runs the home, and the husband gives a particular, I think, a certain amount for argument's sake, gives £1,000 monthly.
Yes.
Now she's thinking in her mind, how can I save? Like, I'm getting £1,000 every month, but I still need to. I feel like I'm just living hand to mouth. You know what I mean? Like, I just have to. In that situation, I think if it was a man would think if it's £1,000 for the bills, then it's £1,000 for the bills. Now, for a woman, she's thinking, I need to take away £300 to keep for rainy days because I'll need to do other things. So I don't think men think that way at all.
I think that's and
that goes into.
I think that's quite general, because at the end of the day, there would be men that would think that way. There would be men that would say, I'm only going to spend £200, I'm going to save £800 because I'm going to buy a Range Rover Sport at the end of the month. Yeah,
but that's big things that they're thinking about.
Yeah, but
a woman isn't saving because she wants to buy something. She's saving because of rainy days. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
so we're delving into between managers. I'm just echoing what Tosan talked about. You can be a good money manager and not save. So while she's saving, she's managing the £1,000, she's automatically thinking, I need to save. I'm not saving for a particular thing. I'm saving for rainy days.
But she's still saving, driven by the need of what she's doing. So I don't think you would probably know if people are really good savers until just based on their DNA.
Yeah,
I think women, in general, if we had to literally categorize it, if you had to, stereotype, then I would say women are better managers.
Well, it is backed by scientific data, and data from banks that women have more savings than men do. So it's easy to just say that that's the answer.
I totally agree with that. I mean, we can see.
It depends.
Yeah.
It really depends. At the same time, you see women who are very extravagant. They haven't got any money in their bank account, but they're spending ridiculous. They're not even working, but they're spending ridiculous amounts of money on handbags, shoes, things that are just things, not anything, that can invest in their lives or make them better people. And at the same time, you see men doing the same thing. So I think individual.
I think it's funny because if we go by the statistics, but article, it's Twitter is blowing up at the moment with also everything regarding. I think there's an element of truth in it, because where I personally believe that a woman, again, it might be based on our DNA. I think we're better savers.
The DNA.
And I think we're better because we're more cautious. We're very cautious.
We think about the things. We think about the future. We
Yeah.
think about the practical things, whilst the guy would not necessarily do all of that. So that if you had to stereotype, then yes, women lend ourselves to being the better.
So there's this other statistic that I saw, and I think again it was on his Twitter page, where he was talking about when a man loans money from the bank, right? The whole society knows that he's rich. Like he buys the flashy cars, he's buying the expensive things. However, when a woman loans the same amount, nobody knows about it. Nobody knows of it at all. Of course, there's always that fraction of women that are buying designer here and there, but generally speaking, the business minded, I mean, he's probably talking from a business mind, a business minded person wouldn't go and borrow money to buy Gucci or Chanel.
Exactly.
So where he's coming from is, when a man borrows money for microfinance, borrow money for business, whatever, something has changed.
Yeah, but if he's really borrowing the money for business, why does everyone need to know? Because I think he's spending the money on the wrong.
Have you forgotten? Have you guys forgotten that men believe that if I drive the best car and I want to go for a business transaction,
no, but
the fact that I'm driving,
different.
when a man is borrowing money, he's also thinking about
himself as well.
Do you know what I mean? So he's thinking, but for a woman, I'm like, it's okay, I'll get a taxi. It's okay, I don't have to buy a Range Rover because I need to go and get a contract for a cake. It doesn't matter what I drive. So I think that's where this is all coming from.
In a way, that whole male mentality of arranging yourself and packaging yourself so you're representing what you're selling.
Yes.
It's actually a valid point.
I don't agree.
I think a lot of women,
so I don't disagree with that.
I think a lot of women miss out on some key things, some key business deals, some key jobs based on appearance.
I think it's a confidence thing.
It's a confidence thing because a man goes for a bit, like you're going for a business meeting with, say, let's just say, for argument's sake, Bill Gates. Bill Gates doesn't care about the way he looks.
That's because he's who he is,
exactly.
Right? Okay, let's check that, right?
But like a contract of like £100 million, and you're coming looking like a riffraff. Like, how can I trust you with £100 million? Like, this is money you probably never.
Is that not a cultural thing?
It's a cultural thing.
Okay,
it's a cultural thing, but we're Nigerian, so I can talk from a cultural perspective.
Okay.
And someone comes for a business meeting with you, and they're dressed really poorly. I'm like, okay. Can I really trust this person with this business?
Probably when you get my money, the first thing you're gonna do is change your whole wardrobe.
Exactly. My husband tells me about this thing that happened in Nigeria. So he and his friend, they took his dad's car and they were driving around. They went into a close, this beautiful house, and they were just making a U-turn. So they're using the front of someone's house to turn around, and the gate man saw the car and immediately opened the gate. Like,
I used to kind of car that will come to this
house. So it's all about appearance. So that you're just taking that little bit that you said about men investing a little bit in themselves.
Yeah, I get. No, I don't disagree with you in terms of you've got to obviously invest in yourself. Well, that's a different topic entirely. But I think what I'm saying is where a man, if you put a man and a woman go to bank A and you go to bank B, you both loan 100 million. We've got to do something. Where I think of what to do with it. You can be rest assured that the man will be thinking of buying the flashy things first.
But the true test is the return on that 100 million.
Okay, we're going to talk about that another day. We're not talking about the return right now. It's about what you do.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. We can talk about this forever. And that was me thinking, how long can we talk about this? You were saying we couldn't talk about it for 30 minutes. And now we need to cut short now. Right, so yeah, I think personally, I still really think that we're better money managers. But again, I don't always have to agree with the guests, right? So yes, now we know, it feels like some agree and some don't agree. And I think the most important thing is whether or not you're a better money manager, whether or not you are the best at saving, it doesn't matter. Somebody's doing it, right?
Yes.
So long as in a marriage, in a relationship, one person is saving well, one person is managing. Just make sure you're doing both. Because when you're not doing both, then we have a problem. And when we come back on the second segment of today's episode, we will be asking you whether or not you can be friends with the opposite sex without any motives. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys, to the second segment of today's episode, where we are about to find out whether or not you can be friends with the opposite sex. Still with us today is our lovely Tosan and our very amiable accountant Folake. So ladies, let us know, tell us, can you be friends with the opposite sex?
I think it depends, are you talking about just being friends, or are you talking about being friendly? Because in this day and age with technology, there are different levels of friends. You could have Facebook friends, internet friends, and you could have real friends where you meet regularly, you have drinks after work, you go and see a movie together.
So you know what? Everything you said, whether or not you're a social media friend, People flirt. Again, that's another topic for another day where we are. What does flirting really mean? How do you know whether or not you've crossed the boundary? Because when you're flirt texting somebody, you've crossed the line. So whether or not you're doing it on Facebook or Instagram, we're talking about friends that take a significant amount of your time, right? So somebody who is a friend. So if you and I are friends and we're like female friends, and I can call you up, hit you up, text you, spend time talking to you, that's the kind of friends we're talking about. Not the ones you see occasionally at parties.
Yeah.
Talking about, can you be best friends with the opposite sex?
So the thing is, from a married perspective, it's difficult. It's not impossible, but it is difficult because, taking from my perspective, I might think, okay, it's fine, there's nothing wrong. I know we're friends. I know there's no issues. But I think it's just creating an opportunity for my husband to think something else. Because even though I trust myself and he might trust me, but saying, oh, this, man calling me, this man, we're going to the cinema, this man, we're sending each other messages, that is what I would do with a friend.
Exactly.
So, and from my perspective, there might be nothing wrong with it, but how does my husband feel about it? I think it puts your partner in a difficult position. It puts them in a situation where they start to think things they shouldn't really have to think, or start having arguments. And
yes, so I think the bit I'll cut out from that is going to the cinema, going to the movies. Maybe not that, but the kind of having friends that you call and you talk about issues. I'm having this issue at home, or advice on what should I do. Just before delving into that, let's find out from Folake. What are your thoughts?
It's safer to not be friends, especially one where you have to confide in them. Now it's a different thing whereby, say, for example, I'm married as well, so if my husband does something, I might want to call a male friend to get a male perspective. In that instance, then yes. But having a friend that is like my girlfriend, my husband does something, I call him, I moan about it. I think it's exposing yourself a little bit. I trust myself, but I might not trust a circumstance because we can all be vulnerable.
Yeah, we're all human.
We can all be vulnerable. I think it's just adding a dimension that could be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. So I guess my question to both of you is, but why can't you be friends with the opposite sex without any motives, without somebody thinking that you're friends with benefits?
But usually there's no motive until the motive comes in.
Exactly.
Usually everyone goes in with the best of intentions.
Yeah.
Well, I will give an example, but this was when I was single. I had a friend, a guy, we were tight, as in literally tight. I mean, to me, there was absolutely nothing. And as far as I was aware, to him, there was absolutely nothing. Until the day I met his friend, and the friend liked me. And I found out otherwise.
Yeah.
I actually found out or heard that, why are you stepping up to my woman? And I was like,
really?
So that's the thing. So we can have
until then, we had been friends for like 2 years.
And then you know what's in your mind.
Maybe he was just protective of you.
Not necessarily, because I have a very similar situation from when I was single. I had this friend, we're really good friends. In uni, we'd have lunch together, we'd go out, have fun together. There was absolutely nothing between us. And the minute I started dating someone else, he started acting. I'm like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? I would have this full-blown argument, like we'd been married for 10 years, and I was cheating on him. And I'm sure, I can't remember, I'm sure he used words, like, yeah, exactly.
Let me put
so you never really know what's in someone else's mind.
Let me put a twist in this one. The guy in question had a girlfriend.
Okay.
And I had made it my life's
Double
business
standard.
to be best friends with her. To protect myself. Because I felt that if I was friends with his girlfriend, even I, there might be, there would be
that doesn't matter.
No, I know. I'm just saying that even though he knew that I knew the girlfriend, but that still didn't stop. So as far as I was concerned, we were very safe.
Yeah.
Because he had a girlfriend and they'd been dating for.
So I guess. So I think what I feel and what I'm hearing now is, whilst it's okay for you and I as girls to say, well, I can actually be friends with the opposite sex without any intention, with no motives. I think the guys somewhat always sort of have.
Sometimes, and also thinking about it from my perspective, am I okay with my husband having a female friend?
Well, that would have been the next question now. How comfortable
I am
would
absolutely
you be?
My husband has female friends.
So I think he can have friends where they see each other at parties, have fun, but like he has so many male friends. Like, what's wrong with a male friend?
Okay.
Why?
So you're sounding like me right now. Let's go to the one that has a friend. The husband has female friends. So how do you deal with when you say he has female friends?
I think
do they hit each other up on the phone and?
or he has friends that are female.
Yeah.
That is my classification, and they speak, be it for work purposes. I think as long as I'm aware and he makes me comfortable enough. So I think the onus is on him to make me comfortable, and he doesn't turn me into some form of spy detective who's always wondering. Yeah. So if he makes me comfortable and he doesn't hide things. So for example, he tells me, oh, I'm meeting up with X, X, and X. I ask you a few questions, you answer me, and you're not, going. I think if you put the person in a position like, okay, you're meeting the person, but why can't you say where you met?
Yeah.
Why can't, if I ask a question, why can't you just answer freely the way you would answer if you were meeting a male friend?
Yeah.
So I think the onus is on, if we have to have male friends or female friends, the onus is on us to make our spouses feel comfortable about the relationship.
But then you're still putting yourself in a situation where you can be vulnerable. Like
yes,
you go out for drinks with a couple of friends, and then the others have left. It's just you and your friend left. You've had a couple of drinks. Everyone's kind of very relaxed. One thing happens. You put yourself in a situation where
laying on him.
Yeah, exactly. And then nothing might even happen, but then you've created an atmosphere that is not right.
Yeah, for something.
And in order not to sin, don't put yourself in a position where you might sin.
Yeah.
So I think it's just not necessary. If it's someone you've known for such a long time, maybe you're childhood friends, I think that's a different dimension.
Okay, now that you're saying that, brings me to my next topic or next question, which is, would you feel safe for your other half to be friends with their ex? Now they've known each other for so long. Well, you just said that you feel comfortable with your friends. Now, so let's make the scenario a little bit easier. So it's not like no ex is an ex. Now, they are exes, but it's a dead. There, evidently. No more feelings. Let's play devil's advocate here, right? Because I know some of our viewers will be thinking, but yeah, you can. If there are no feelings, it's possible. So let's assume that there are zero feelings and it would never be resurrected. Will you feel comfortable?
How do you know there's zero feelings?
Well, I'm just saying.
So Nigerian men have been saying. I heard a couple of them saying this once, and it really made me laugh. I can't remember the exact words, but they said something like. If you've been there, you can always.
Once there, always there.
So, like, even if there's no feelings, it just takes the right combination of things to create a perfect situation for something to happen. Personally, I think an ex should be an ex. I'm not saying be enemies. You can be Facebook friends or whatever. You see each other at a party, you can chat for like 5-10 minutes. That's absolutely fine. But I think being the kind of friends where something happens, like they're calling, or you're going out, I don't think that's appropriate if you're married.
No. So now I guess I'll ask you, Folake. So I'm thinking about a scenario. It's okay for us to tackle this from being married, right? And I think obviously we do have viewers who are not married. I'm probably thinking, well, I'm not in your world, so I don't even know why you have an issue with being friends with the opposite sex. So now if you were to flash back 10-15 years ago, I know you touched a little bit about it. And if you were to go back and if you're a youth right now, or we're all youths, a teenager right now.
Dating, before you're married, it's friends with benefits. That's what it is. Let's call it what it is.
Friends with benefits.
Okay, I think you could, while single, I did have a lot of male friends. Whether anyone had intentions or not, some had, some didn't. But as a single person, then yes, and I would say with my ex, as long as we did not kill each other breaking up, I had no issues speaking with friends. I think for now, being married is just out of respect for my husband.
Exactly.
But while single, as long as I'm fine with it, and I can only vouch for myself as much as I can vouch for. But while single, then yes, as long as if he's dating someone, then I think it's not a case whereby you see him with his lady and you walk up to him, say hello, and then completely blank the woman. So I think when you're single, it's easier.
Yeah.
When you're single, it's easier because at the end of the day, if you haven't put a ring on a woman's finger, you can't really start to feel insecure about whether she has other male friends. If you want to marry her, make your intentions known that you want to marry her. I want to be exclusive. I want to marry you. But before you get to that stage, you can't really feel, I'm not comfortable with that male friend. Well,
put a ring on. Exactly. That takes me on to my final question today, which is it true? And I'm saying this because I think I read it somewhere, but I'm not going to tell you what the statistic says. Is it true that a woman, whether or not you're married or you're single, a woman can be friends with the opposite sex with no intentions, but the man always has an intention? Not some, always. So
I think for the woman, definitely, I believe as a woman, you can definitely be friends with the other person. I think for the man, it depends on what she looks like physically. Yes. If it's his spec or not. If it's his spec.
If it's a marriage chestnut, or Mary Hardwick,
I think
some dark chocolates.
There will be men that will, even though they don't initially have any intentions, but put them in the right situation. Let the right atmosphere, play the right music, have the right drinks. It's just both of them, together, chatting, nice and chill, dim lights. And then ask the question again.
And then I think for a woman, she has to be in a bad place emotionally
to be able to start moving. I do.
But for a man, we could be very
exactly. I think it goes down to us being emotional. Like we have to be very emotional, because I could be friends with you, and you can be telling me you love, and I'll be like, me. And I think for us to actually get to that level, we have to be emotionally connected. But for a man, there's no need for emotion. And that goes back to one's been there, always been there. So quite interesting. So so without sort of going back into what we're talking about, if I was to ask you in 3 seconds, is it okay to be friends with the opposite sex? Yes or no? It's a yes or no, not maybe. No. Yes or no?
Yes, it's okay to be friends with the opposite sex, depending on your personal
There is no depending. Folake,
based on all that.
There is no. Okay. Now we know Folake says absolutely no. It's not okay to be friends with the opposite sex, being a married woman. And Tosan feels it's okay, it's not the end of the world, with a caveat. Let us know what you think. Do you think it's okay for you to be friends with the opposite sex? Let us know, leave us a comment, and let us know what you think about our first topic, where we talked about whether or not women are better money managers. But before we leave today, we're about to find out what the pet peeves are for our guests. So over to you, Folake. What are your pet? What's that one thing that you cannot stand?
Dishonesty.
Okay, there's been a lot of dishonesty. What's going on with this world? It's like nobody wants to be honest anymore. So tell us why.
I think if you lie, that's it, the trust is broken. And I think I base everything on trust. So I just don't like dishonesty, and because it just leads to unfairness.
Brilliant. So how about the white lies? There's always that white lie. White lie.
I think with everything in the world, there's always a caveat. But just pure black and white dishonesty. Just being dishonest and just lying about things. I just don't like it. I rather you just say, I don't want to tell you
about it,
and just outright lie. If I ask a question, just say I don't want to tell you. I'll handle that better than say a bold-faced lie.
So now we know, because some of us often think, if I say that to her, she'll feel hurt.
No, it's better for them to be hurt, to be honest. That's my take.
Well, either way, you'll be hurt, but you'll just be more hurt knowing that you lied to. I'll be more hurt. Okay. That's good. That's a different twist to it.
It's the best policy, isn't it?
Yeah, like they say. But there's a whole lot of things that have been said that have not been followed through, right? Okay, over to you, Tosan. What's your pet peeves?
I think my pet peeves are noise and disorganization. I like things being organized, and both people being organized and
So talking about noise, we've been making lots of noise time today. I wonder what she's been thinking in her mind.
So this is a noise. So when we're having a discussion, a constructive discussion, I don't class that as noise.
I was just checking.
Like people just shouting and making noise, playing really loud music, and I don't like that kind of noise. And also, even in places, I like things being organized. So I see when things are disorganized, I see my brain interprets it as noise.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. That's a good twist to that. Right then. So we know when you're talking to Folake, I think because she's an accountant, right? Just tell her they can take anything. Just tell her, well, I don't want to tell you about my figures. I don't want to tell you how much I earn. That you tell her that you earn 6 figures.
Exactly.
She don't want to hear that. And we know Tosan, obviously, she is. I think if when you meet Tosan, you know she's the very. You know, she likes everything to be in order. She walks, even the way she walks, she doesn't waddle. So now you know what the pet peeves of our guests are. So when you meet them and see them on the road, you better be sure that you're not doing that thing to them. But that's it for us from the Jo Maxwell Show. Until next time, I'm your host, Jo Maxwell.